Well, howdy friends, and welcome to our first battle report of 2024. Today we're going to play what you might call a poor man's version of Warhammer the Old World, meaning we're going to use the free Age of Fantasy Regiments rule set, version 3.1, which you can download gratis over at One Page Rules. And we're going to use a host of rather ancient Citadel Miniatures, many of which are closer to 25 millimeters than whatever the current scale is. And as you would expect with figures that are 20 to 30 years old, or perhaps even older, a lot of them need touch-ups and or basing. But regardless of their condition, we've sprung these old soldiers out of the retirement home and have redeployed them here for your entertainment. So today's scenario is going to be a simple 630-point collision between the Chivalrous Kingdoms and the Mummified Undead, because that's about as big as our 3x3 table can handle at this scale. Basically, the desiccated sorcerer Viggo Mortis has summoned a mixed force of mummified undead and vampiric undead and is marching from the wasteland toward the earldom of Sandwich, with nefarious plans of burning all the villages and stomping on all the crops. I guess he must have a grudge against the living or something. Anyway, Viggo is a hero and a level 2 sorcerer with all sorts of nasty mummified undead spells at his disposal. Aiding Viggo in his crusade against the living is a unit of 20 skeletons with spears, a unit of 10 skeletal archers with cursed arrows, 20 drained soldiers, basically zombies with hand weapons, and a unit of 10 frothing zombie wolves who are both fast and have scout. To repel the smelly legions of shambling dead, the Earl of Sandwich has hastily assembled his retainers and subjects, drawing a line in the sand at the edge of the desert. The Earl's forces include a unit of fanatics from the nearby monastery, a unit of loyal foot knights. These guys are highly paid professionals, so there's only 5 of them. There's the Earl himself on horseback next to an entrenched catapult. The artillery cannot move forward, but it can pivot if need be. Here's a unit of 20 expendable peasants. They are not very good fighters, but there are lots of them. Plus there's a unit of 10 crossbowmen. Their bolts have rending. And finally a unit of 10 low-born men-at-arms. So who will win this old-school confrontation between the living and the dead? Let's find out as we play Age of Fantasy Regiments from One Page Rules. Okay, here we are. Lynn is going to be playing the Earl of Sandwich and his hastily assembled defense force here, who's going to try to blunt the undead horde who are rampaging in from the desert and want to reach the green fields of the earldom.
So I've recruited a bunch of peasants, men-at-arms, and a few fanatics to help me in my fight.
Right. You only have a few professional soldiers. There's the Earl. There's some foot knights here. There's the artillery crew down here. And then regular men-at-arms, crossbowmen, peasants, and way over here, those crazy fanatics. This is actually what the fanatics live for. They've been itching to rush into a horde of skeletons and start swinging those flails. But you may notice that the fanatics are on a larger base. We ran out of the smaller bases. So for the sake of this game, this is going to be the size of the unit here. We'll just ignore this extra part. So for purposes of charging and stuff, ignore this little piece on the end. All right, shall we roll for some initiative? I got a 5.
I got a 3.
And you got a 3. Unless one side suffers a complete disaster, we're going to go for a 4-turn game. But it might not last that long.
It might not.
All right, so to begin, then I would pick a unit and activate it. And all ranges and movement distances are cut in half because our table's kind of small here. But first things first, these zombie wolves here have scouts, so I might move them up a little bit before the regular movement. So try to move those wolves up 6. About like that. Out of range of the crossbows, which is good. And out of range of the catapult, which is also very good. That's going to make a mess at some point. And now I get a regular move. So the skeleton archers are going to pivot a little bit and rush 6. So that is the skeleton archers. All right, who's moving for the Chivalrous Kingdoms?
I think the peasants.
The filthy peasants. There's 20 of them, and they can throw rocks in this game, which is kind of handy.
So they're going to rush up 6.
They're going to rush 6. Would you like me to help you move them? Peasants have rushed up fearlessly.
They don't want the skeletons getting at their fields. They need their food for the winter.
Yeah, they've learned that even if there is skeleton-induced crop failure, the Earl of Sandwich is still going to want his taxes.
Exactly.
So. Okay, the skeleton horde. Let's see, how far can that catapult shoot? 18?
18.
So that's about
the middle of the board, I think.
here. Oh, almost. So, like, yeah. Right about there. Oof. Well, I don't really want to get squished by catapult fire on the first turn, but I would like to attack those peasants. Okay, so I think the cowardly skeletons are only going to move up about 4. Or maybe they'll move 3 and pivot. That's what they'll do. Because I think a giant catapult rock could have a detrimental effect on a horde of skeletons who do not have to make morale checks, fortunately, but do tend to crumble under stress.
Yes.
So skeletons are on the move. So I had a slight miscalculation because I pivoted these skeletons, which brings that corner technically within range of the catapult. And so, yeah, I think you can shoot at those skeleton archers if you want to. I believe your arc of fire is kind of like this. It's broken up into quadrants, so you should be within your quadrant, I think.
Very good. We'll give it a shot.
And because you have indirect fire, I don't think that debris is any hindrance.
May target enemies that are not in line of sight and ignores cover from sight obstructions.
So a big rock is being lobbed.
And
Quality of 5+.
quality of 5+.
All or nothing.
Yep.
5. So you hit the skeletons with a rock. It's blast 6, so that's 6 hits on the poor skellies. I'm not sure if pre-measuring is technically allowed in this game, but if I'd pre-measured that a little bit more carefully, then I would have avoided doing that pivot. So the skellies have a defense of 5. They take 6 hits from the rock. Uh-oh. Let's see, that's a 6. That's a 5, so that actually wasn't terrible. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4 survived, and 2 got killed. 2 got squashed. So 2 skellies get smushed. You clipped a couple of them.
I clipped a couple of them. It was at the extent of its range, so.
So now that the catapult is fired and the crew is frantically reloading, these wolves are free to rampage forward. So we'll move them up their full 6.
Can't they go 8 because they're...
Oh, they're full 8, that's right.
Because they are fast.
Pretty darn fast. Okay, so that is the wolves. Crossbows in range to fire.
Crossbows are in range to fire, so they are going to pivot, and then they are going to shoot.
So the crossbowmen right here are going to shoot the wolves over here. 10 shots.
Quality of 5+.
So the 3 6s have rendings. Those are AP4, right?
Yep.
Zombie wolves have a defense of 5+ normally. I'll put 1 special die in to designate the non-rending hit. So I mostly need 6s, but in one case a 5 will do. And I did block 1. Wow, 3 wolves are gone. That's terrible.
That's helpful.
Does not take them down to 50%, which is good. I need to come to grips with your foot troops before the missile troops pick me apart. Okay, the drained soldiers are going to move up. They're going to move up 6. These ruins here are impassable and do provide cover, so they're going to have to pivot around those at some point. Okay, so the undead are advancing, but the Empire is picking them apart with rocks and crossbow bolts. Okay, here's your plucky men-at-arms. Are they going to move forward and meet the wolf menace?
Since they can't get into hand-to-hand combat with them yet, they're going to take an inch backwards.
Oh, you want to charge them rather than the other way around.
Correct.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, so this is Vigo Mortis, the mummified leader, and he could try to cast a friendly spell to help out some of his units here, but he's got an evil plan. But we would expect nothing less. Rush forward and unleash his wickedness on the living at some point. It'll depend whether he gets squashed by a rock or not. Okay, so that is all of the undead units. So the Earl of Sandwich right here has his loyal retainers. And then he went to the local monastery and dug up some of the fanatics, some of the zealots. So they're raring for a fight. So these 3 units can still activate. So the Earl of Sandwich is moving forward. He's going to lead by example. So he's advancing, but not rushing. Okay, so the Earl of Sandwich has moved. You have your foot knights and your fanatics.
The fanatics are going to move back 1.5 inches in the face of the arrows.
They want some time for quiet reflection.
Yes.
And if you want the foot knights to move sideways, they can move sideways 1.5 inches. Because that's half their regular movement.
So that's what they're going to do.
All right. They're going to shuffle to the side.
So that's
the nightly shuffle.
The nightly shuffle.
All right. Foot knights here. Fanatics here. Okay, that's turn 1. Now we go into turn 2. And the undead are going to wreak a horrible revenge for you squashing some of their skeletons and shooting some of their wolves. So the undead leader, the instigator, Viggo Mortis, gets 2 more mana crystals. So he's got a total of 4. He is going to activate and try to do something evil. So he can cast a spell anytime before attacking. So he's going to move 4, and he's going to cast a spell on this block of peasants over here. And that spell is going to be Vengeance. Target an enemy unit within 18 inches. Takes 1 hit with Blast 9. So he's going to spend 3 points to cast Vengeance. But he needs a 4+ to manifest it. So this is a big roll. Since this roll is so important, I'm going to use this ancient Dungeons & Dragons die from TSR. So, by the power of Gygax, 4!
Okay.
Vengeance. So there is a 9-point blast amidst the peasants. Right here. And so you need to roll 9 saves. And you need a 6 to defend. So let's see how many peasants can we blow up.
8.
Oh, 8 peasants.
Yeah.
Blow up. Boom. That makes me feel a little bit better about losing my wolves and my skeletons. But on the plus side, that's not more than 50%, so they don't need to take a morale check.
They do not.
Though I imagine the catapult and the Earl of Sandwich and all that will be seeking some sort of restitution.
Most likely.
Okay, so that is my first activation. Now, what is the Earl and his retinue going to do?
The crossbowmen are going to shoot the wolves again.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're going to move back 1.5 inches and
All
then
right.
shoot.
So the crossbowmen are unleashing hell on the undead wolves. And I see a couple of rendings and 1 regular hit.
Regular.
So 1 regular hit and 2 rendings. Didn't block any of them, so that's 3 wolves gone. Poor little Lobos. They just wanted to say hello, so they're down to half strength. They're going to need to make a morale check.
They don't need to make a morale check because they're undead.
Correct. So they are fearless but unstable. So I roll 1 die for every wolf remaining, and on a 1 to 3 they crumble. And they all crumble.
Wow.
They all go away. So that's good for you.
That was a very lucky shot.
So those crossbowmen deserve a raise, maybe a full copper penny instead of just a halfpence.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's see what's going on here.
What are the undead going to do?
What are the undead going to do? So I'm down to just 4 units. Let's see if I can get these archers in range of anybody. So even if they advance a little bit, they're not going to be in range to shoot anybody. So I think they're going to rush. They're going to throw caution to the wind and move forward a full 6. So they're not in range to shoot anybody, unfortunately. But maybe next turn. Maybe they'll survive if they don't get hit by a big rock or something. Okay. The Earl of Sandwich. So the peasants are going to try to move up and throw rocks at Viggo Mortis. So the peasants moved up 3, and they're going to throw rocks at Viggo Mortis. So that's like 10 rocks.
But they only hit on a 6+.
1 hit.
Well, 1 is better than none.
Right. 1 fist-sized rock bounces off the skull of Viggo Mortis, who has a defense of 5+, And he doesn't block it, so he takes a wound from a rock. So, a well-thrown rock.
Very good job, peasants. That was their revenge.
Filthy peasants. Okay, with the wolves gone, we don't have anybody on the side, so these zombies are going to have to fill the gap. So they're going to pivot and then move, which puts them right there. So that is the drained soldiers, aka the zombies. Okay, so next up for the Earl of Sandwich is his fanatics. And what are they going to do?
They're going to rush toward the bowmen.
Straight on?
Straight on.
Gutsy little fanatics. And then the last unit I have is my skeleton horde here. And they're going to move up as far as they can before hitting the leader, so they can't get within an inch of him. So they're marching forward. Alright, and next...
Catapult is going to drop a rock on the archers.
So the catapult is lobbing a giant rock at the skeleton archers. 6! You have some good artillerists on your side. So that is 6 hits. Defending on a 5+, I think. We could use a few saves. And I saved 2, but that's not enough. So I'm going to take 4 casualties, which means they're below 50%. And then the rest have to roll to see if they crumble. All but 1. There's 1 left. 1 archer left. Are you proud of yourself?
Very.
Skeletons are crushed by a giant rock. So, the Earl of Sandwich.
The Earl is going to move over to help with the zombies.
He's going to help deal with the zombie horde. Okay, now you got your foot knights here, your knightly knights. What are they going to do?
They're going to move up 2 so they can stay out of the range of this.
Oh, the spellcaster. Yeah.
Spellcaster, because
That's
he
a good idea.
is very devastating.
And finally, your men-at-arms. What are they going to do?
They're going to move up 3 to stay out of rush range of the zombies.
So going into turn 3, the zombie wolves are gone. Most of the zombie archers are gone. We killed a few peasants, but other than that, the humans are pretty much intact. And it's those wily artillerists and crossbowmen that are giving the undead so much grief. So let's see what happens, if anything, in turn 3. Viggo Mortis is back up to 3 tokens. So I think what he's going to do is he's going to make some room for the skeletons. And he's going to unleash vengeance on the peasants. Okay, so Viggo Mortis is right here. He's going to unleash vengeance on the peasants. And we need a 4+. The thing about the spells in this game, and I guess artillery and everything else, it's all or nothing. You either get a tremendously devastating effect, or you get nothing at all. So let's hope for the former. Okay.
1.
By the power of Gygax. 1! Well, that's not a happy day. Spent all my magic tokens. Didn't get to kill the peasants. Alright, so what are the humans going to do in the face of the undead scourge?
The peasants are going to try to get some revenge.
Okay.
So we may as well just throw rocks. So they're going to move up just enough.
So the peasants are throwing 10 rocks at Viggo Mortis.
Hitting on a 5+.
Oh, I see 3 5s.
3 5s.
You could potentially kill him with rocks. He defends on a 5+. He doesn't block any of them, so he takes 3 more wounds. It takes him up to 4 wounds. Yeah, there's a wound shard in Age of Fantasy Skirmish, but not so much in Age of Fantasy Regiments, so I think Viggo is just dead. So no stunned or anything. He's just gone. That was horrible. So what we're going to try to do is maybe the skeletons can charge. I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to charge the peasants. Just go screaming forward into the peasants. Level out. Shuffle this way. So the skeletons charge into the peasants. So 10 spears.
10 spears.
Into those wily peasants.
The peasants have been pretty feisty,
They
considering.
have. 10 skellies attacking peasants. Hitting on a 5+. I'm going to reroll this one. This one is from something else. We'll get rid of that. Looks like I got 1, 2, 3. Only 3 hits. And you defend on a 6, right?
Yep, defend on a 6+.
Defending on a 6.
No defenses.
Okay.
So now they're below 50%.
Yeah. So the skeletons are fatigued because they attacked. Are you going to counterattack?
Yes, I'm going to counterattack.
Right.
1, 2.
2 hits from the peasants. Skellies defend on a 5+. And they defended once. They blocked 1, so they take 1 casualty. So the peasants need to make a morale check. They just roll 1 die against their quality to see if they pass.
They do not.
They do not. Since they're below 50%, they rout. So the peasants scatter to the wind. Now the skeleton's going to make a consolidation move. They can move by up to 3 inches in any direction. So the peasants have scampered off the field. They've had enough of this. But they did kill Viggo Mortis.
They did kill Viggo Mortis.
Now, what are the forces of the Earl of Sandwich going to do? It's time to lob some rocks.
It's time to lob a rock at the zombies before they get a chance to attack.
All right, so the artillery here is lobbing a rock at the zombies over there, and it hits on what?
5+.
5+, all or nothing.
No.
Misses.
You're happy about that.
I am. So the undead only have 1 skeleton archer here, and they got the zombies over there. I think this lonely little skeleton here is going to shoot 1 arrow, 1 cursed arrow at the fanatics before they charge into him and crush him into bone powder. He needs a 5+. He doesn't get it. He misses. Okay, so the crossbowmen right here are moving up, huh?
So they're going to move up 3. And then they should all be within 12, I think.
But maybe not the back row, huh?
Not the back row.
So 5 crossbowmen are in range. They're shooting at the zombies.
2 hits.
2 hits.
2 measly hits.
Zombies defend on a 5+. And they blocked both of them.
Oh, that's very rude.
It's hard to find a vital organ on those zombies.
It is.
And let's see, have I moved everybody except the zombies? I guess I gotta move my zombies.
Yes, you do.
So they're gonna pivot and move 6. Now it's time for the Earl of Sandwich and his heroic forces. So there's the Earl right there. You have some men-at-arms over here, and there's a blob of zombies over there. So what are you going to do?
The Earl of Sandwich is going to charge into the flank.
Charge into the flank of the zombies with his great weapon. It's really great. So, charges in, hitting on a 5+. Two 6s with his great weapon.
And it's AP2.
AP2. So the zombies defend on a 6. And you got impact 1 as well, so you get 1 more attack that hits on a 2+. From the horse, I guess. So 3 hits. So defending against the AP2 hits, I need a 6. Didn't get it. Defending against the regular hit. Didn't get that either. So 3 zombies are dead. Or deader. Or, you know what I mean.
Crumbled or made into mush.
Made into mush. So the zombies were attacked from the flank, so they can't attack back. So they have 3 full ranks, so that's 3. The knight here, the Earl of Sandwich, has 1 full rank, plus he did 3 casualties. So he won combat. So the zombies lost combat. They don't have to make a morale check, but they do have to make a stability check to see if anybody crumbles. So all of these guys have a 50% chance of crumbling into mush. So that's 5, 10, 15, 17 checks. And any 1 through 3 means they've gone away. So that is a devastating attack from the Earl of Sandwich. This has the potential to be really nasty. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got 7 of them. That's this whole stand here. So that goes away.
Definitely helpful.
So well done, Earl of Sandwich. We may name some portable meat and bread concoction after you for this. The Zombie Sandwich. Now that the Earl has softened up the zombies, are you going to charge in with your men-at-arms?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Charge!
They hit on a 4+.
Hitting on a 4+. 3 hits.
Only 3 hits.
On the zombies. They defend on a 5+. Block 2, take 1, not this guy. Take 1 casualty. So they're going to strike back with 9. Hit twice. So what do you defend on?
4+.
4+. Defending on a 4+, they block it. So the men-at-arms have 2 full ranks, and they caused 1 casualty. The zombies have 1 full rank and caused no casualties. So they lose. They have to make another check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 go away. So they just cannot handle the shock of combat very well. So the zombies are down to 4. Then the men-at-arms back up an inch. And that's combat. Then the Earl of Sandwich has his fanatics and his foot knights over here. What are they going to do?
So the fanatics are going to attack the archer.
10 attacks on the poor little archer. And what do you hit on? A 5+?
5+, so 2 hits.
2 hits. Archer blocks 1, but he's still gone. That's the end of the poor little archer. And then you can do a consolidation move. Up to 3 inches or a 90-degree pivot.
I think we'll do the 90-degree pivot.
Okay. So they pivot. Then finally the foot knights
Are going to pivot and then move 6.
Yeah, you can charge the skeletons if you want to. Okay, so the foot knights are flanking the skeletons. Hitting on a 4+. 1 hit.
1 measly hit.
Skeleton does not block it, so he goes away. Yoink. They don't get to attack back, but here's the dealio.
I think you still win.
I think I still win because you have 1 full rank and you caused 1 casualty. That's 2. These guys have 3 full ranks. So you lost combat. So you need to make a morale check. But you can't rout. You can only be shaken.
He's fine.
And they make it. They're fine. They back up 1 inch. All right, well, that is the end of turn 3, and things are looking pretty good for the Earl of Sandwich and his retinue. There are just 4 zombies left right here. There is a skeleton horde, but between the crossbowmen and the artillery and the foot knights and everybody else, it's not going to last very long. And I think because I'm below 50% of my original units anyway, I would have to make some sort of a morale check, which would mean most of these guys would probably crumble. So we're just going to call that a Earl of Sandwich victory. And Lynn, would you say your MVP was the artillery?
That and the crossbowmen.
Yeah, the plucky crossbowmen did eliminate those wolves, which kind of left a gap on one side of the battlefield. Plus a couple of lucky shots from the catapult and regular rocks from the peasants who managed to stone to death Viggo Mortis, the undead champion. So, all in all, not a bad day's work for the Earl of Sandwich and his retinue, though he did lose a few peasants. But half of them probably scattered back to the farms anyway, so
Right.
That's all good. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this poor man's version of Warhammer the Old World. I guess we shouldn't call it that. It's not using the Old World rules, though these are certainly Old World figures, some of them from a long, long time ago, so we're really kind of happy to have them back on the table. Some of these guys may have been off the table since the late 80s, early 90s. We don't know. Maybe longer than that. So it was kind of fun to break these out and get them back on the board. Anyway, please let us know in the comments what you thought of today's game, or if you have some favorite rank and flank rules of your own. We'll be back soon with some more tabletop wargaming goodness. But until then, take care of yourselves, sneak in a game if you can, and we'll see you next time.